Welcome to the Keep Baseball Grade podcast, where we're all about reminding baseball fans why they love the game. In today's episode, we're going to talk with Jeremy Mitchell of the Mitchell Bat Company. Jeremy started a bat decorating company in the middle of a World Series several years ago, and since then has worked with or has been featured with companies like ESPN, Sports Illustrated, and the Red Sox, just to name a few. Jeremy shares some fun stories he's been able to experience through his company and with his family and friends, including a Father's Day miracle baseball story, and how a quick trip to the All-Star game turned into one of the greatest weekends for Mitchell Bat Company. I hope you guys enjoy the interview. Here we go. Well, hey, Jeremy, thanks so much for joining the Keep Baseball Great podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Been a big fan of Mitchell Bat Co. and what you guys do. So I feel like you would be a perfect guest for us in these questions. But before we get started, I'd love for you to kind of give our listeners a little bit of who you are and who Mitchell Bat Co. is.
Yeah, so I'm Jeremy Mitchell. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm the founder of Mitchell Bat Company. I've been around since 2013, hand painting baseball bats, and shipping them all over the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I've been a fan for a while and love kind of seeing all that stuff you're doing and all the experiences that you've gotten to do because of that. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to kind of maybe hear a few of those in these questions that we're going to jump into.
let's
So
do it.
awesome. So with that, with the Keep Baseball Great podcast, it's all about just reminding fans of why they love the game. And so I've always gotten the question of, man, why do you love baseball so much? And I kind of stumbled over the answer a lot, but I've kind of narrowed it down to these 5 questions and these what really make me love the game. So I'll ask you the same. But so the first one is all about the history. So give me some of your favorite baseball historical moments.
So the first thing that comes to mind for sure is the very first World Series that I ever remember watching on TV, and that was the 1986 World Series. And if you remember that World Series, it was special because it was the Mets versus the Red Sox, and the error that ended Game 6, or it kind of changed the trajectory of Game 6. Bill Buckner let a ball roll under his legs that Mookie Wilson hit, and the Mets ended up winning that game in Game 7. But I just remember like that team with like Keith Hernandez and Gary Carter and Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden and all the '86 Mets players. But that for sure is like my first and most fondest memory of watching baseball. And then of course it goes into every World Series after that. It seems like it was historical. With the '89 World Series with the A's and Giants, where there was a earthquake like during the games or before the game, and that whole thing was crazy. And then the 1988 World Series with Earl Hershiser and Kirk Gibson, Tommy Lasorda. So I would say like the tail end of the '80s were some of my favorite baseball memories growing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember that earthquake one vividly, watching that. I think I lived in Colorado at the time, and that was a big deal. That was crazy.
Mm.
But I think from now on, like I'm a big Rangers fan. I'm in the DFW area, but I think from like I'm such a baseball fan that every World Series, all I root for is for it to go to Game 7.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. Have you heard of the baseball fan prayer before
No.
every? So before every game, I think that there should be a prayer said that it's the longest game in baseball history. That it goes into, of course, extra innings, and there's a no hitter, and like every record gets broken. Like that's every time I go to a game, I want to be there for 10 hours. I never want it to end, and I don't care how long baseball games are.
Dude, I am with you. My family has a hard time going to games with me because like I am to the last out kind of guy. No matter what. And being in Texas, like their games are hot and
Right.
they can get brutal. But I'm like, you just never know. You don't know what's gonna happen. And
Right.
so I remember one game. I think it was the Rangers, but I think it was Chu. He was going for maybe a cycle, and it was like the seventh inning, and they were throwing a no hitter at the time. So I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh. Of course, neither of it happens, but that's baseball.
Right. Yeah, when we go to baseball games, like I have to be there right when the gates open,
Yep.
or prior. Batting practice passes happen a lot for me, and people that go to games with me know that. So it's like the first pitch maybe at like 7 o'clock, but we got to get there at 4, or 3, to get in 4 hours prior. And then we never leave. We never leave a game. I never leave my seat. I have to stay put the whole game.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's awesome. So that kind of goes into our second question. It's all about family and friends. And so, with all those experiences you've gotten to do you share any like special baseball memories with families or friends, whether currently or in the past?
Oh yeah, tons. There's so many. It's hard to narrow it down, but there's two that come to mind, and they both involve like my entire family. Actually, there's like four that come to mind, but they involve my daughters. I have three daughters, and they've been to Major League Baseball games. They've only been to I think two Major League Baseball games, but this particular game I'm going to tell you about. It was Father's Day, 2017, and we went to a Nashville Sounds game. And the night before the game was rained out, so the Sunday game, the Father's Day game, was a double header. And so in minor league baseball, how they do double headers is they play two games right after another, with like a 30-minute break, and it's only 7 innings, so it's
Oh,
two
that's
two
crazy.
7-inning games like nonstop back to back. So we go to the game, with our three daughters, and our youngest was probably at that time she's probably 7 months old, and it was hot outside, and usually when we take the girls to a game, like we don't even hear taking me out to the ball game in the seventh inning stretch. Like we're long gone before that. We might not make it past the national anthem. And so this particular game, the first game in the doubleheader, it was a no hitter. It was a no hitter all the way through like the
No way.
sixth, and so we're witnessing this no hitter on Father's Day, and so like the game was going really fast, and so the the no hitter was broken up, of course, because like that's what happens when
Right.
you're witnessing a no hitter or watching on TV. Um, so the no hitter was broken up, but the game ended, and my wife was like, "Okay, so you ready to go?" And I'm like, "Well, let's stay. Let's stay. The kids are fine. Like they're not crying. They're not hungry." We actually went and like got like a two large pizzas, and like we like sat down
Oh, nice.
like on the grass, like under like a pavilion area at the Nashville Sounds ballpark here in Nashville, and they ate their pizza and no one complained. And the second game started, and our youngest baby like fell asleep in my like wife's arms, and like she slept for like 30-40 minutes, so she got like her energy back, and the girls weren't crying, and nobody was asking for anything. And we sat there through two games
Oh man.
on the Father's Day, no tears, like no one cried. And the game ended, and we're leaving, and I'm friends with the vice president. His name's Doug Scopel of the Nashville Sounds, and he goes, "You guys are gonna miss the fireworks," and I was like, let's go back." And so we turned around, went back into the stadium, and watched the fireworks out in the outfield, and it was such a magical day, and I'll never forget it, because like usually I go, like I said, I go into these games thinking that we're going to be here for 2 innings, and we ended up watching 14 innings of
Wow.
baseball plus the fireworks. And that was probably when you reached out and you had these questions for me, like that's the question that like that's my answer to that question. And the second thing, and that stands out to me as my family, is we got batting practice passes to a Marlins Braves game. It might be the same year, 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. At their brand new stadium, and walking onto the field with my family, like we're like on the, how this works is like you get your name on a list, and you meet at a certain gate, and they take you down the field, and you're on the field, and all the players are right there. And my girls were so patient, so patient. It was like hot and in Atlanta, and we got Dansby Swanson's autograph, and I
Nice.
met Don Mattingly for the first time. And so Don Mattingly was like, he's the Marlins manager. Ichiro it was his last
Oh,
season.
wow. Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton was just hitting bombs right there. D Gordon was on the team. Christian Yelich. So I got to see all these players right up close, and my girls got to experience it too. And it's I'm kind of spoiled for getting to do that. And my girls, even when we go to a game and we're not on the field, we don't have field passes. They're like, why don't we go? Why are we going on the field? This
What's
is
this upper
bogus.
deck business? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was, and everybody got a baseball that day from batting practice, and so that was a pretty neat experience to get to do with my kids.
That's awesome. I love that. I is Don Mattingly, one of your childhood favorites growing up?
Yeah, he was. In fact, I have a Don Mattingly autographed Mitchell bat right there behind me, and also, so on that day, this Nashville Sounds hat right here was signed
Oh, nice.
by Don Mattingly, because he was the first baseman for the Nashville Sounds like in the '80s,
Oh, no
and
way.
that's yeah. So the
Okay.
Yankees were the Nashville Sounds were the AAA affiliate of the New York Yankees, I think in 1981 and '82,
Oh, wow.
at least in the early '80s, and yeah, he was the first baseman. He has a baseball card and everything.
That's
And
crazy.
so
Yeah.
when I handed him that hat to sign, he goes, Nashville. And so I kind of talked to him, and that was like the first, that was the start of like a really fun relationship with Mitchell Batco and the Mattingly charities. And so it was a really good first meeting of Don Mattingly, because they say like never meet your heroes.
Right.
um,
Right.
but he for sure was like super nice and super accommodating.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mine was Dale Murphy growing up. I uh I lived in Colorado, so we didn't have any baseball teams up there, so we just get those Braves
Yeah.
games. But uh, that's really cool. I love those stories, man. I bet your
Yeah.
girls will be talking about that for years.
Yeah. And they've thrown out first pitches at minor league games, at college games. Anytime that I get to do like a first pitch, I try to, like, get my kids out there to do it with me,
Yeah,
because it's a fun experience. They don't know what's going on.
right.
But it's super neat to see them out there, like, later on watching the videos.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. Well, awesome. So, going into our next question, it's all about life lessons, and so uh, give us some of your best life lessons that you've been able to learn through baseball.
Yeah. So I think that it's the average, the batting average
Mm,
in baseball. A good solid hitter is hitting 300, and that means that that hitter has not gotten a hit 7 times out of 10, and so they've only gotten 3 hits out of 10, and so and they're considered some of the best hitters in
yeah,
baseball. And so I kind of want to make that, if there's a baseball analogy to go by with life, is like, you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna strike out, and you're gonna not hit the ball out of the park every single time. But get back up there, and keep going and keep trying. Never give up, ever. Um, and that's it. I think it's just the if I'm hitting 300 in life, then hey, I'm doing pretty
you're
good.
doing pretty good. Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. I love that lesson, and I feel like I'm always the guy like the on deck guy. Like I'm suited up and I'm ready to go, but like I'm kind of always nervous to get in that box. But so I love that analogy for sure of baseball. That's cool. So the next question is giving back, and I know Mitchell Batco has been able to do a lot of that through several different charities, but
Mhm.
I feel like giving back is just a big part of baseball, not only at the MLB level, but even just, dads being able to coach kids baseball, just giving back in that way. So give me kind of a couple opportunities that you've seen or had been able to be part of to give back through baseball.
Yeah, the probably the most memorable one is teaming up with Mattingly Charities. We've gotten to give money to them, through Mitchell Bat, and we've been able to donate bats
Mm,
for him to autograph and to auction off at his yearly event that he has in Evansville, Indiana. And we've done like eBay stuff with Mattingly Charities where you can bid on the bat and purchase it, and it goes straight. 100% of the proceeds go to Mattingly Charities. And he has a pretty interesting setup where he helps handicapped children that wouldn't necessarily get to play baseball. So he has a big thing there in Evansville that I've been thankful to be a part of in the past.
that's really cool. That's really cool. I love that. Um, and you've also, I think earlier on, you did some stuff with RBI,
Yes.
like inner city stuff, and I just love all the opportunities that MLB and also just players use their platform to be able to give back. And so I'm hoping to kind of partner with them and do something here in the future. But giving back is a big part, and I love doing that. So it's cool to
That's great.
see you doing that too. So.
Yeah.
So the last one, and it's probably my most favorite, I guess. Is that right grammar? Most favorite.
Favorite, sir, I think
Yeah,
is how you say that.
yeah. But having fun through baseball is just, I love doing it. I love watching my kid smile and have fun while he's playing. But give me some of your most favorite fun moments you've had through baseball, whether it's, when you're in Little League or even now through Mitchell Batco, just moments that you're just think back at like, man, I just smiled the whole time through that and just had a blast.
Yeah, that for sure has to be 2015 All-Star Week.
Mm,
So I had started Mitchell Bat Company in 2013, and my experience at All-Star Week um, in Cincinnati, I'm gonna kind of go backwards. I'm gonna kind of start at the end and kind
okay.
of lead up into like how I got there. So I went to the All-Star game, and that was everything you would imagine it would be. I went to the Home Run Derby, and that's everything that you'd imagine it would be. And the Futures game, which is the game on Sunday, and then right after that is the Celebrity Softball Tournament. So it's like Snoop Dogg, whoever out there playing
Right.
softball. So I got to go to all the games, all the things, um, and how I got to do that. So Cincinnati is only like 4.5 hours from Nashville,
Okay.
and I've never been to an All Star anything, because growing up we didn't go to stuff like that. Like we didn't go to like major sporting events. And then as an adult, it was never really close by. I would have to fly there, and I never thought I would ever go to an All Star game.
Hmm.
So um, backing up the story to the same year, 2015, I think it was like possibly January or February. I was on Instagram, and I was following this account called OMG Reds, and it's just kind of like just a couple guys that just talked about the Reds, and they had posted a picture of a Bud Selig All Star ball, and what's cool about that is Bud Selig ended being commissioner in 2014, but they went ahead and released these 2015 All-Star baseballs with Bud Selig's,
Mm,
signature on. It says Major League Baseball, and then it's like Bud
yeah.
Selig's autograph is like stamped in there. And so I was like, oh, that's super rare. And so I commented on the post and I said, I want that ball. Just kind of, how you do on Instagram, you just kind of thumb through Instagram and you
Right.
you type stuff and you just move on. Well, there's this other guy posted, replied to my comment. He said, "Are you going to the All Star game?" And then I replied back to his comment and I said, I would go if I had tickets. And then probably a minute later, I get an email in my inbox from this guy that I was just kind of randomly talking to on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I have a ticket for you." That's all. That's all his email said. And so I responded, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll trade you a couple Mitchell bats for an All-Star ticket. You can sit with me." And I'm like, "This is unreal. Like, I can't believe this. Like,
Yeah.
who is this person that's gonna give me the ticket for a couple of bats? Like, that's crazy." And so I emailed him back, and I was like, "Sure." And so I told my wife, and I told her it was like July something, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Cincinnati um, for like 24 hours, like up and back. It's no big deal. I won't be gone long. I got a free ticket to the All-Star game, basically, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I have
Oh
to go."
man.
And so she was like, "Okay, fine." And then so some time passed, and I knew I was going to go, and I was planning on going, just driving up there that day and coming back the next morning. And then I get another email from this menswear company named Article Menswear. They're in OTR, which is kind of an area in Cincinnati that's hip and trendy, and it's a menswear store that wanted me to come and do a pop up at their
Nice.
store on the Friday night before All-Star game. So the All-Star game is on a Tuesday,
Yep.
and then now this pop-up is on a Friday. And so that puts me in Cincinnati. If I say yes to this, that puts me there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days. So no longer is this like a quick up and back game,
Right.
up and back to see the All-Star game. This is like, oh, this is like a week basically. And so I agreed. I agreed to do this thing for Friday night. And then, again, like around that same period of time, I got an email from another guy that runs a thing called City Flea, which is in Cincinnati, and they're doing this like All-Star Edition flea market. It's an outdoor flea market, and they wanted me to have a tent on Saturday. And so now I'm doing the pop up on Friday, the pop up flea market on Saturday, and then I'm like, well, I gotta see the home run derby while I'm there. And so, went to StubHub, and I found like some super cheap tickets. Like standing room only is like super cheap. So if anyone listening ever wants to go to the home run derby, like standing room is like the way to do it, because
Really?
the tickets are super cheap. And then the game on Sunday. So like I'm here now. I'm going to all the games. I'm there working to make money, and also while I'm there, they had a big baseball card show that Pete Rose was signing autographs. Eric Davis was signing autographs.
Nice.
He was Barry Larkin. Like there was like a list of like 100 people. I talked to Andre Dawson
Oh, nice.
while I
The
was
Hawk.
there, and
Yeah.
I felt like I was just like back to being a kid, because like I hadn't been to a baseball card show in like 30 years. I think the last card show I was at was when I was like 11, when I met Joe Strawberry. And
Nice.
so nothing had changed. Like it was the same, same crappy tables, same old men that are like, trying to sell you these
Oh
baseball
man.
cards for as
Yeah.
much money as they can ask for. But and I stayed with a buddy of mine, and I barely knew this guy. This guy, his name's Matt King, and he's like one of my best friends now. And the guy that gave me the ticket.
Yeah.
And so I'm the godfather of his fourth child.
No way.
So it's like this whole thing, Mitchell Bat, like has opened up so many doors and so many relationships with people. And I got to hang out with Matt for the first time ever. And we went to the All-Star game together, and it was just a blast. Like that week, I would get up at like 6 a.m. every day, and like just drive to the city and just walk around the stadium, because the city was just buzzing. The
Yeah.
whole place was decorated. Um, the whole place was decorated, and it was just ridiculous.
That's awesome. I would definitely do what it takes to do all that if I had the opportunity for sure.
Yeah. So that's definitely my answer to that question.
That's very cool. I love that. I love those moments, man. But for some reason, and I don't know what it is. And maybe, you know, other sports fans would say their sport does that too, but I feel like baseball just really creates kind of these moments, whether it's with family or friends or whatever, but just creates these lifelong memories that just make you love the game. So
Yeah.
I love hearing all those stories, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us and sharing those stories and just for keeping baseball great. Be sure to follow Mitchell Bat Company on Instagram at Mitchell Bat Co. and also follow at Mitchell Sporting Co. on Instagram as well. You can find them both online, mitchellbatco.com and mitchellsportingco.com. Thanks again, you guys, for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the Keep Baseball Great podcast wherever you're listening.